The Cats Whiskers podcast is proudly sponsored by the Bunkers Hill Hockley. Don't miss Panthers game day offers, including Coors Light at £2.50 a pint.
Hello everybody, it's been a while since we've done this, hasn't it? Happy New Year to you all, and this is the TCW podcast, the first of 2018. Yes, good evening, everybody, or good morning, depending on when you're listening to us. And I think we can still get away with saying Happy New Year because you've not heard from us since before Christmas and the New Year. So Happy New Year to you if you're listening to us. I hope you had a good festive period and a good New Year. But there's lots to talk about as we head into this new podcast of 2018. Some good, some bad, and some indifferent. And I'm delighted to say that joining me, Aaron Lord, is Tina Taylor.
Hiya.
Hello, Adam Reddish.
Evening, everybody.
Hello, and finally, Antoine Marie-Jeanne.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening, one and all. Now, like I say, some good things, some bad things, and some mediocre things have happened in the Panthers and the Elite League since we all last spoke on one of these podcasts. So, shall we get straight into it? And we'll talk about some games that happened obviously over the festive period, and we'll talk about the two Panthers versus Blaze games very quickly before we move on to more recent games. Obviously, Panthers coming in on an 8-game losing streak, looking to bounce back to a victory, and they managed to get that victory at home on Saturday the 30th of December with a 4-3 victory against the Coventry Blaze. I won't go through the scorers, obviously, because it's been quite a while, but one thing that I'd like to point out to everybody listening is, obviously, we were very short on goals. And can you believe it that the first person to score was a defenceman? Billingsley, who would have thought it, eh? And to even top that off, it was on a power play. So very, very positive start to that game, even though we did go 1-0 down. But just some things from that game. You know, obviously, Patrick Galbraith returned and he started in net. And obviously, Evan Mosley returned from his injury as well. Tina, I'll come to you first. Needed that one, didn't we?
Didn't we just? December was horrid. There's no other way to describe. Well, I suppose there are a few other ways to describe it, but family show and all that. But we absolutely needed it. Absolutely horrific December. I think confidence was low in the fan base. Confidence was low in the team. You could see it. I mean, we've talked it to death. You guys, obviously, you did the podcast and talked at length, about the woes of the Panthers, and probably the worst December that most of us can remember in a very long time. I think we were sort of comparing, trying to figure out when the last time it was so bad. And I think somebody mentioned that it sort of went back to the Blaisdell area, and that predates me being a hockey fan. So it was quite severe. Billingsley's power play goal was a peach. It was lovely, and definitely got the crowd into it. But even when that goal went in, and even when we put a couple more away, you could still sort of feel it. I mean, me personally, I thought, well, I'm not going to get excited just yet because we've been here. We've put a couple of goals away, and then we've just seen teams just get stuck in and stop us from getting anywhere or absolutely burying us. So I didn't get too excited until the final hooter went, and then I was delirious at that point.
I mean, Adam, like Tina says, we did knock in a few more after that through Phillips and Moshantsev. Another power play goal from the Mock to make it 3-1. Tina said she wasn't, feeling. She didn't get too excited at that point because maybe a little bit of nerves, etc. How did you feel at that time?
Relief, really. Relief that we learned to score again. Relief that we learned to win again. When you go through such a bad streak as that, it's a horrible slump that we were in. Any win would have been great. And it was nervy. And, Coventry, to their credit, played a good road game. And they frustrated us. I don't think we were particularly fluent, although we were better than recent games, although admittedly that's not a very high benchmark to go for. But yeah, I think it was all about getting that win, really, by whatever means possible. And it was nice to do it in regulation as well, sort of like put the cherry on the top. But it wasn't really a great performance in the sense of, you could go away from the game and talk about loads of great things that happened during it. It was, just a gritty, let's get a win on the board sort of performance. There were some encouraging things from the players, and as you mentioned there, the power play flickered into life, which is always a positive for us. But yeah, I think it was all about getting that win and, actually winning for the home fans, because, we've not seen a great deal of good hockey through December. So it was absolutely necessary and almost, imperative that we got those 2 points available from that home match.
Just to wrap that kind of game up, Tina, two things like I mentioned, Galbraith returning from injury and starting, was that a surprise for you? And then Evan Mosey coming back and, bang, he gets the game-winning goal at 57 minutes. And, do you think he just brought a bit more energy to the roster that night, especially?
I think it's kind of a thing when you do get a guy returning from injury, or you do bring new blood into the team. I think the team just gets a bit of an injection of good feeling and a little bit of energy about them. So that wasn't wholly unexpected. Especially in the case of Mosey. We all know what he can do when he's absolutely on top of his game, and that goal was absolutely fantastic. Matt Davies put out my favourite tweet ever, which I can't actually say. He said Mosey said he's not really known for his goals, but he smashed the out of that one. So it was definitely a goal worth tweeting about. The thing with Galbraith, he started so well with the Panthers. He's continued to do so well with the Panthers, up to that point. And I think the run of losses we were having, I think the fan base was starting to get really down on Garnett, and it's not entirely his fault. It's not. I'm probably going to take this on a bit of a tangent now because you mentioned it, but I am a little annoyed, actually, that people seem to be laying the blame at the feet of Mike Garnett for our results in December. He's got to get some help from the players in front of him, and he just wasn't getting it. And it coincided with a period where Galbraith was injured. So, every netminder has bad games. And, the entire team had bad games, and it just coincided that everybody had bad games all at the same time, and it just made for a woeful team performance. But laying the blame for it at the foot of Garnett is wholly unfair, I think. It was nice for Galbraith to get a win, but I don't think it's because of him. Not specifically that we got to win. We have got an embarrassment of riches in the netminding department. Even when you look to our backup, Sam Gospel, we've got a brilliant trio of netminders, and they've got slightly different styles to them, but any one of them on any night can get the job done as long as the team in front of them are playing to their best as well.
Yes, I think the point you make about different styles is a really good one as well, because I do think they're very different netminders, especially Galbraith and Garnett. But you bring up Garnett and the fact of some fan base, etc. Garnett got both MOMs against Sheffield, and we conceded 9 goals over the 2 games, and I think that kind of shows you the performance that he put in to keep it to 9 goals. So, for me, it was quite a surprise to see Galbraith returning straight into the team that that night. I thought they might split it. But as we move on to, obviously, New Year's Day, we go into the Sky Dome. I'm calling it the Sky Dome. Some other people that have maybe played hockey in, Motorpoint Arena might call it something else. But I'll say Sky Dome.
It seems to have another nickname, doesn't it? Just lately.
It does, and I'm calling it the Sky Dome. But Mika, I'm not going to disagree with you. Okay, right. New Year's Day. Obviously, Adam, you say it wasn't a great game, really. Against Coventry 2 nights before. It was never really going to be a great game, was it? After losing 8 games on the trot, But we got the win, and it was important that we followed it up with another victory, and we did. We came away from the Sky Dome 2-1 to the Panthers. Again, a regulation win. And again, a power play goal through Pellini in the second period after Mosey put us 1-0 up, and Coventry scored a power play goal as well. But positive to get a result out of the Sky Dome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not been the happiest hunting ground for the Panthers over the last few seasons. So, to go there, get a win, it's an interesting rink, as you were alluding to a minute or two ago, and as former Panthers netminders have been alluding to on social media in the last day or so. Yeah, I mean, to take anything from Coventry is good. And I know Coventry aren't a strong team this year, and they're down on skaters at the moment. I think they're down to the bare bones pretty much, but you can only sort of beat what's in front of you. It would have been nice to skate out of there with a 7-1, 7-2 win, but you don't just go from playing like we did through December to trying to get back to giving teams pretty one-sided defeats. So it's at that time, just baby steps, get another win on the board, build a bit more confidence, encouraging to, only concede the 1 goal in there. So more good net minding. And, it was positive, but we needed it after the Christmas we had, because it was pretty wretched, to say the least, against Sheffield and the games before that. So, I think it was good that some of the players, stepped up and answered the bell. And, strung 2 wins together from that sequence of games against Coventry.
I mean, and I'll bring you into the fold now. 4 points from those 2 games. Really the perfect response to, the 2 previous games that we saw over the Christmas period.
Well, I was beginning to think it was down to me, because I didn't see either of the Blaze games or the MK game that we'll talk about shortly, and we won all 3. So I thought I'd basically jinxed the team, so I was in 2 minds whether to actually turn up on Saturday or not. So I'm glad we won on Saturday and confirmed it wasn't actually some bad juju. But no, how many times I know we only play them a couple of times this season now, but to have to win both games in the Sky Dome. I mean, previous seasons you'd take 2 wins in the Sky Dome, throughout the year. So the fact that we've done that this year is a massive positive as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, the period that we had before that has pretty much almost killed our season, I think.
Oh, I thought we were trying to be positive there, Ant. Trying to be positive. Start off on a positive go. But we'll come to Tina, because Tina, we can't talk about 100% record, as Ant says, in the Sky Dome without talking about the Sky Dome in general and how it hasn't been a happy hunting ground for us over the last few seasons. But just your thoughts on actually getting that regulation win and taking the 4 points off the Blaze over that period.
Well, yeah, it's on a similar sort of thread to what Ant said. I haven't been to either game at the Sky Dome this year, so that's me never going to the Sky Dome ever again. So that's it. I'm done. I love my Coventry away trip, and now I can't go. So if I submit to superstition, that's it. I can't ever go again. I completely echo what Ant said. You would take 2 wins out of the 4 that we used to play them, and we've got the 2 wins, so can't ask for that. I mean, we beat them in both of the home games as well. So you take that. you absolutely would totally take that as well. So yeah, it's a small positive to take from what's been a pretty pretty messy sort of month's worth of results. If you're going to take any kind of positive, that's kind of there, isn't it? Really. But not much more you can say about it. I think we're still, despite some of the results that we have had, I think we are still looking at December's results and thinking, what if? Have we lost Aaron? Has he gone?
I'm back, don't worry.
Oh, good Lord, thank God for that.
I'm back, everybody. Don't worry, I'm back. Sorry to report that I'm back. But yeah, what I was saying was we will leave the league there. It's live, everybody, don't forget. We'll leave the league there and we will move on to the Challenge Cup game that we played on Wednesday the 3rd of January against the MK Lightning. Obviously, coming into this game 2-1 down after the first leg down in Milton Keynes. But it was a positive performance and another victory, and quite a victory, with a 6-2 victory, which meant a 7-4 on aggregate victory for the Nottingham Panthers. Goals through Phillips in the first period on the power play, Mosey in the second period, Delago in the second period, Brown in the second period, and then in the third period, Brown as well. And obviously the Lightning scored 2 goals through Isaacson and Stofflet. The first one in the first period and the second in the second period. But basically, 3 quick goals basically won us the tie, really, because it was close. And, I didn't go to the game, I'll admit, and I don't think anybody else did, if I'm correct.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. So we've all watched the highlights, though. And, MK put up a good fight, but we, like I say, 3 quick goals basically won us the tie, didn't it, Ant?
Yes, it did, and it was a pleasant evening on Twitter for once. Following that game, I hate following games on Twitter. It's bloody rubbish. Refresh. You get cramp, especially when it gets to penalties and what have you. But anyway, it was, and it was. I think it came as a bit of a surprise to us as well, because we'd scraped past Coventry. It was great to get back to winning and everything. But I don't think anybody saw us coming out and basically destroying Milton Keynes like we did. And I've watched the highlights, and it's a very nice package of highlights to watch. You can't really say anything bad about it, to be fair.
I mean, we're now going to play the winners of Belfast versus Fife, which is currently 3-3, and the second leg is tomorrow. So we'll see who we eventually play. I mean, just very quickly, who do you want to play, guys and girls? Tina, I'll come to you first. Belfast or Fife, if you had a choice.
The way that both teams are playing at the moment, I think that is probably the most difficult question you're going to ask me tonight, Aaron. Belfast, we got some good wins against them early in the season. They are really starting to find their feet now. And Fife, where the blooming heck did they come from? They are just. They're just bossing it at the moment. They're just picking up wins everywhere. Nobody is safe. It's fantastic to see a Gardner team just surging right up there. We've got a nice. Sorry, I'm doing that, going off on a tangent thing again. But it's nice to see in the sort of top section of the table. We've got a mix of the conferences. It's not just the Earhart Conference that are that are dominating. We've got a couple of Gardner teams. We've got a couple of Patton teams. There's a mix going on, and it just it's fascinating to watch. I mean, it's a bit depressing if you're a Panthers fan because December, but it's fascinating. And I mean, the thing that makes it more fascinating for me is that we've still got a massive disparity of games played. But by each team, so the table, although it looks, you sort of if you take it at face value, you've got it wrong, because there's so much potential for teams that you're not expecting to come up and bite you in the backside and make a surge up to the top of the table. I mean, Cardiff are looking pretty good for it right now. They've got that nice buffer of points, but Fife could catch them. So they've got to be aware of that. But in terms of who would I want to play, I genuinely don't have an answer for you, because, as I say, both teams are in such good form right now. I think I tweeted it, but this weekend in Belfast, I'm genuinely tempted just to stay in Rockies and just get Jim to put the NHL in for me, because I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure how we're coming out of that based on the form that we're in at the moment and the form that Belfast are in at the moment. But it's a difficult one, that.
Adam, if you had a choice, Fife or Belfast?
I'd probably take Belfast. I don't think there's a great deal in it, but you look at Fife recently, and they're, no pun intended, but they are flying. They really are. And they just, as Tina said, that they've come from nowhere, and I think obviously that's because they're catching up on games played, but they just seem to have everything a hockey team needs. It's got a strong defence, tight defence, but it's got a lot of offence, and again, you look at the forwards, and they're all sort of breaking into the top 20 of point scorers in the Elite League, which is good for them. A bit of a breakout season for them. So I think that I'm not quite sure when the semi-finals would be. Are they immediate, or is there a few weeks away before they take place? Because I mean, if those were immediate, and if we were playing Fife in the next fortnight or so, I mean, I know a lot can happen in hockey over the space of a fortnight, but Fife are absolutely blistering hot at the moment. But Belfast, sometimes, they drop the guard. And, we saw Sheffield win one of their games over in Belfast at the weekend. I think Belfast are beatable. I think, they've still got issues with discipline, as we might talk about later. And, if you play them, and if some of their players get up to certain antics, then, you're going to get a lot of power play time, and that might not be a good thing for our long-suffering fans who've have seen a fairly wretched power play this season. But it certainly gives you better opportunities to beat Belfast, and I think Fife, who are generally quite a well-disciplined team.
Ant, just finally, quickly for you, do you have any preference?
Preference, yes. I'd rather play Fife, because obviously we only get to see them twice in the season, so that'd be a game that I'd more likely buy a ticket for than Belfast. But like both have said before me, you can't really correlate between them, and I wasn't surprised to see that first leg end up as a tie, and I won't be surprised to see if it goes to overtime and penalties tomorrow. I really can't call who's going to win, and the form we're in at the moment, unfortunately I can't actually, unless we bring a couple of players in, I can't see us beating either of them at the moment, I'm afraid. I'm that much down at the moment. I'm very upset.
Certainly sounds like it.
Does somebody need a cuddle, Antoine? I know.
I'm also poorly, so I'm Mardy. I get Mardy when I'm poorly, so that probably doesn't help.
The good thing is, Ant, it's not coming across in this podcast. So,
okay, good.
I mean, look, the Challenge Cup is obviously it's a trophy that we have been very fortunate to win, and many times in the Corey Nielsen era. Do you think that this is possibly? And I have a feeling that what a couple of you might say, but do you actually think this is our best chance of a trophy this year, Tina?
I was hoping you wouldn't come to me first, but best chance of a trophy. I think there's still enough hockey to be played for us to have a say in playoff quarterfinals. So there's still potential there. I think the league is a very, very, very big ask. I think Cardiff are going to have a collapse of massive proportions, Fife along with them, for us to get anywhere near the top. So we've got to. I mean, I know there'll be a lot of Panthers fans that are, ready to throttle me right now. But if the league's gone, then then we may as well focus on what we can win. And what we can win right now is the Challenge Cup. We're still in it, so we may as well make a bid for it. We may as well make the best of what is available to us, and just hope that our form can turn around, and maybe some of those who have more points above us can maybe have a bit of a slip up somewhere along the way, and who knows, maybe it's unlikely, but we once again, we've just got to focus on what we have available to us, and we're Panthers fans. There's always next year.
I mean, and I'll
Isn't
come
that
to you
the saying?
And I'll come to you, and I'm guessing because you've literally just said that you don't see us beating either Belfast or Fife, that your answer to that question is it's not our best chance because you don't think we're going to win it.
We're in the semi-final, so yes, it is our best chance of winning a trophy. Whether we'll win it or not is a different thing. We're what? I'm just looking at the table now. We're 11 points behind Cardiff. 2 games in hand. We've got to play him 3 more times. So if we win those 3, win those 2 games in hand, that's 10. So we're a point behind him. It's going to be a big ask. We're going to have to go on a huge run. An absolutely huge run.
An anti-December run.
Yes, we're going to have to go. We're going to have to go back to where we were when we'd beaten Sheffield and Braid that weekend, and we were like top of the league, top of the conference. We had games in hand, everything was happy. We need to put on a big run, and this. I mean, I said it leading up to people around me. So this weekend was huge, and we got 2 points. Kind of expect to lose in Cardiff nowadays. This coming double header is huge. If you come out of there with 4 points, which is possible, I've seen teams do it. I've never seen it. I don't think I've ever seen us do it, but I have seen other teams do it. Who knows? But yes, we need to go on a huge run for that to be possible. It's not impossible, but I think purely on the basis that we are in the semi-finals of the cup already, and obviously we're 7th in the league. We could be struggling to get a playoff spot if we don't book our ideas up. That's the other flip scale. So yes, the Challenge Cup, whether we'll win it or not, I don't know, but it is our best chance for a trophy.
Okie dokie. Well, you talk about runs and going on a run, and we'll come to the Devils very shortly, but they have been on a run, so it is possible. I'm coming to Adam, don't worry. Hold your horses. You didn't want to host, so pipe down.
Outed.
Adam.
Yes.
I come to Adam because he's a man of belief, and he picks you up when you're feeling a little bit down. And so this is for you. Come on, Adam. Is it our best chance of a trophy? Do you reckon?
I think it is, and I pretty much echo everything that Ant says about us. Obviously, being more advanced in that competition than the playoff quarters, which we won't know about for a while yet. I think. Sorry to let you down, Aaron, because you came to me for belief, but my belief in us winning the league title this year is probably gone down the road now. I just think we've given ourselves way too much to do, and I look at the balance of the side at the moment and the number of players that are just not trying. I'm not saying that. I'm not labelling them as quitting on the season or anything like that, but they're just still out of form. I know we've had an upturn in form recently, but it's still evident that some players are struggling with confidence and not firing on all cylinders as we saw earlier in the season. So I think that to get that level of form back that we saw through September, October, November would be a real tough ask with this set of players. And I think Ant said it earlier, maybe a couple new players. Well, I think that's probably an absolute necessity, if we are to, start punching our weight back in the league. So, yeah, I think the Challenge Cup does represent the best available competition, best chance of silverware this season. But you've still got to win the games. I mean, yes, we're in the semis, but, whoever wins that game tomorrow, Belfast and Fife, will probably think that, it's a good time to be playing the Panthers because we're just so inconsistent. So maybe, those sides might underestimate us and we could be a little bit dangerous. We know that the Challenge Cup is a trophy that's very close to the club's heart, and I'm sure the players will go for it. So, definitely the Challenge Cup. Playoffs, massive unknown because we don't know how we'll be playing at that point of the season. And the league, well, as Tina said earlier, there's always next year.
Okay, we will leave that Challenge Cup game there, and as I say, we will find out our opponents tomorrow when the second leg continues, or gets underway really, I suppose. But anyway, so 2 wins in the league and 1 win in the Challenge Cup. Surely everything's rosy, everybody. Come on, we're going into the Storm game looking for a third league victory. Keep that ball rolling, they say. And we did get a victory, although it was an overtime winner. But at 4:45 in the first, everything gets off rosy. Sauvé scores on the power play, another power play goal, before Hammond of the Storm equalises. And then Jeff Brown scores the Panthers' second goal, and Delago makes it 3-1 at the end of the first. Everybody goes into the concourse or in your seats feeling very, very happy. Then the second period comes along, and Hammond scores again for the Storm, making it 3-2, sorry. And then Long scores with only 5 minutes left in the third to take it into OT. But then an absolute brilliant goal from Tim Billingsley at 62-29, completely fools everybody in the arena and the Storm netminder Clemente, and puts it in the back of the net to make sure that the Panthers get the extra point. A little bit sarcastic there, obviously. It was quite a fluky goal, I believe. I didn't really understand how it went in, if I'm honest. But
you're not the only one. I don't think Tim Billingsley understood how it went in.
I know. It must have been a deflection off a stick, I believe. If you know how it went in, then get in touch at Cats Whiskers TV. But in all seriousness, a very, very important second point. And after we talk about, the netminder situation and the fact that Patrick Galbraith played all those games that we've previously talked about, Mike Garnett started this one. Like I say, Panthers 3-1 up after the first period. I thought, we played very well in that first period. I thought we came out, quite strong and a lot of energy, etc. Scored the goals. I have to say I was very impressed with Manchester Storm. I thought their offensive play was very, very good and looked threatening most of the time. But at 3-1, I'll come to you, Tina, again, because what was you feeling at that point? Was you feeling a little bit more positive about what might have, happened for the remainder of the game?
I liked the scoreline, but I was cautious. I thought, that's a great start. I really hope that we can carry on with that work rate, with that sort of, that sort of mentality, that sort of ethos, and really start to put the goals away. And if we can't put more goals away at that sort of rate, then let's shore ourselves up at the back and make sure that we're not gonna concede many more. Unfortunately, and I think Corey Nielsen mentioned it in one of his interviews. He said we got outworked. And he's, I think he's exactly right. I think the Storm had a very never say die attitude, and they gave up on absolutely nothing. They were pretty relentless. They were constantly talking to each other on the bench. There was a lot of communication, a lot of geeing each other up, and it worked, obviously. Because they came back at us, didn't give us any opportunities. We had some shots on net, with some good shots on net. We did make Clemente work at times, but I think there was still a certain element of trying to score, the pretty goals. I don't think there was enough. I don't think there was enough. Just let's just get to the net and get some rubber on the man, as it were. It was a case of us getting outworked, and I don't know if we might have, the 3-1 scoreline at the end of the first. I'm happy to be corrected if the team feel I'm being hard, being harsh on them here. But I think it sort of felt like there was a little bit of complacency. It was a sort of right, we're 3-1 up here. We're doing all right, and the Storm just sort of came at us and just shook it all up. So it's nice to get the 2 points, but I really wish they wouldn't put us through the mill like that. I don't like overtime.
I mean, and I'll come to you. As Tina says, Corey mentioned in interviews afterwards that he's not been able to say this many times about being outworked. He says, I think only something like 4 times he's ever said it about this team over the whole of the season. But he did feel that we did get outworked. And then you contrast that with what Ryan Finnerty said about his team. And he says even at 3-1 down, they felt that they were in the game, they were working well, they were performing well, and the chances would come. And they did come. So do you think it was partly, maybe Panthers relaxed and took their foot off a little bit of the gas, etc.? Or was it down to the hard work that Tina mentioned of the Storm? How did you sort of see the game when it got to 3-3?
Talking about the game with mates afterwards, we actually thought that we had one eye on Sunday when it got to 3-1. And in that first period, I thought we were by far and away the better team. I was pleased to be there. Like I mentioned earlier, I'd missed the previous wins, so I was dreading it. And not only that, but we scored a home power play goal. So I actually saw a power play goal go in, and so I was happy as Larry. Not maybe as drunk as Larry because I was on the water, but I also made a sarcastic comment about how Jay Rosehill must fit into that Manchester Storm team, because to me that was a better Manchester Storm team than the games we'd seen them earlier on in the season. They were quick, they skated for everything, they worked hard, and then their equalising goal was a hell of a finish for me. Top left hand corner if you garnet. It was a ripper of a finish, but you could see it coming. And that's the disappointing thing. You kind of, when it got to 3-2 and we'd not taken any chances, we'd sat. It looked to me like we'd sat back, because as soon as they equalised, all of a sudden we're pushing on for the winner, and we actually dominated that last 5 minutes. But at least we got the win, and I don't care how it goes in. And I thought maybe that's our luck changing when that deflected shot goes in like that. I mean, we'll come on to Sunday now. Unfortunately, it didn't carry on.
I mean, before we come on to Sunday, Adam, I'll just come to you. And one positive out of the game, obviously we take the positive of the victory. Any victory is nice, especially when you might not have played as well as you potentially can be. And you certainly take any goals that you score, whether they're lucky deflections or whether they're an absolute beauty. But just want to give a mention to Josh Tetlow, because he's played a lot of minutes recently, obviously with Gagnon missing the games against Coventry due to the suspension. He played more minutes then, and he also played quite a few minutes against the Storm as well, and he looks really composed. He doesn't look like he feels that he's out of place, or is even playing because somebody else is not playing. He impressed. What was your feeling on Tetlow over the sort of period that we've seen him recently?
Well, he's not let anyone down, has he? I don't think he's looked out of place. Whenever he's been given a shift by Corey, he comes out there, and you don't necessarily notice that it's a youngster that's playing on a team full of more experienced players than him. I think the guy's got really, really big potential to be a cracking D-man at the Elite League level. He's
no pun intended.
I was going to say, I really wanted to jump in then, because you can't help but notice Josh Tetlow because he's huge.
But I mean, he goes out there and he looks composed on the puck. I think his positional play is really sound. I know we've not seen a hell of a lot of him in a Panthers jersey, but only going on the sort of glimpses we've had of him and the shifts that he's been given, he knows his way around the ice. I'm sure that he's benefited from training with the pro guys in the week, learning skills and seeing what's necessary and what's needed to fit in at this level of hockey. So I certainly wouldn't be disappointed to see Tetlow become a more regular fixture on the blue line for us, and get more time and log more shifts as the season goes on. And it's nice to have that option. If you're Corey Nielsen, you can send him on knowing that he's dependable. He's not a flash D man by all sort of different metrics, because he keeps things simple. And I'm sure that at his stage of his career, he wants to keep things simple because he doesn't want to give Corey a reason to say, oh, well, thanks for that shift, but, I'm going to sit you at the end of the bench again for the rest of the game. He wants to be involved. So, just keep doing the basics and keep things simple. And, I'm sure he'll progress a lot this season. I hope we see a lot more of him, throughout the rest of the season, because I think he's a good fit for the club. Young Brits are at a premium, so if you've got one with talent and quality like Tetlow appears to have, then you need to hold on to him and you need to nurture him, because he could be a big part of the Panthers' future for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years even.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm really interested to see over the remainder of the season, whether he will still get these regular sort of shifts that he's been having of late. And part of me thinks that he will do. Actually, I don't think we'll sort of, he'll just flit away and he'll dress, but he won't get a shift. I feel that he will get shifts now for the remainder of the season.
If a D-man, has a few bad shifts or does something bad and the coach thinks, right, I'm going to make a point and make an example, you're going to sit, Tetlow gets the place, gets, one of the D pairings, and, the shirt is like sort of his for the rest of that game. It's great to have options, and hopefully it's keeping the other guys on the blue line, honest, because they know that, they should know that if their performance starts to drop and tail off, that Nielsen's got someone very capable at the end of the bench that could come on and, help shore things up at the back.
Very true. Right, okay, so that was 6 points out of a possible 6 points in the league.
Sorry, Aaron, can I just jump in there?
Yeah, of course you can.
I just want to say Tetlow owes me a rematch on NHL. So at the next games night, I am officially putting my name down. I want to play Josh Tetlow. However, I want a controller that works this time, please. Thank you very much.
Oh, excuses.
What is it? A workman never blames his tools. Unbelievable. I think Tetlow's moved on from your kind of level. I think he's now playing 7-year-olds, and so he wants a proper challenge. But there you go, Tetlow. You've been called out for the rematch. I suppose we'll find out after the next games night. But then, obviously, as I say, 6 points out of a possible 6 for 4 games win streak. And then we go down to Cardiff, Sunday the 7th. Looking for a victory, hopefully. As I say, Cardiff's not been very nice to us this season. And what you're really looking for is a good, strong start. Sadly, the Panthers did not get that. In fact, they got possibly the worst thing to ever happen, and that was a goal by Cardiff within the first minute. Pope scoring at just 44 seconds gone. Then Aslin at 9:39, Crowder at 10:39, and then Joey Martin at 11 minutes 16 seconds, meaning that just over 10 minutes in and the Panthers were 4-0 down. But Ollie Bettridge did manage to get one back in the first period at 12:40 to mean that going into the first period break, the Panthers were 4-1 down. In the second, Jeff Brown scored a short-handed goal at 39:48, meaning that the deficit was just 2 goals, but the Panthers couldn't get any more goals for the remainder of the game as Jeff Ulmer in the third period made it 5-2 at 42:40. And that was the final score, 5-2 to the Devils. So back to losing. Just a few things from the game. Galbraith started in net, but he was replaced with 3 goals down by Mike Garnett. Just very quickly, we've watched the highlights because none of us made the trip down there.
No, but me and Adam did get the webcast.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. My apologies.
Yes, we had to watch that.
I didn't want to remind you, that was all.
We could have got away with that. I can't believe I reminded you.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, what it seems is that Cardiff, they didn't necessarily crash the net, but they made it very uncomfortable for Galbraith at the start, and then obviously Mike Garnett. They were all around the net, moving the puck, etc. But a little bit soft defending from the Panthers. Do you think, Adam? I'll come to you first.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the sense when the carnage was taking place yesterday that there was just no D-man standing up to take ownership of it. The puck was pinging around all over the place close to our net, and we had guys that were, missing chances to get rid of the puck. We had D-men that were stationary, allowing Cardiff's forwards to skate around and get to the net really, really easily. When those forwards need to be, being ushered away from the net by our D-men, but that wasn't happening seemingly. And, Galbraith, I thought he didn't have the greatest game. I think he looked a bit nervy. But then, you were right, Aaron. I think Cardiff's forwards certainly unnerved him a little bit at the start of the game. They got in his face and they were screening shots and getting close into him. And that's, obviously what you've got to do as a forward unit because, Galbraith's a great netminder, but, netminders are fallible and they've all got their weak spots. So Cardiff played it perfectly, and it seemed like we were a bit shell shocked, like we weren't expecting that to happen. And that was the worst thing from my point of view. Is Cardiff are in a really good vein of form at the moment, and they're on a real hot streak. But we sort of just folded quite early on in the game through a collection of defensive cock ups, and that's really sort of deflating, really, after you look at the wins that have gone before. You think, we'll go into Cardiff with a bit more confidence. We talked about the game previous night and the fact that we seem to be playing pretty much the second half of it in third gear or less. And, that sort of thinks, well, they're going to give it everything on Sunday. They're going to start, throwing hard checks and, really solid forward check right from the drop of the puck. But that just didn't happen, and Cardiff dictated terms and they really bossed us around and bullied us, to get to 4-0. And I was really disappointed with the team actually in those first 11 minutes or so, because I thought that there are a lot of players just looking around at each other thinking, what are we doing here? How are we going to stop this? And maybe a timeout might have been called, after 2, just to settle the guys down and just, run over some of the systems again and remind certainly the D-man of their responsibilities, but that never happened. So perhaps that was a missed opportunity. But the ease in which Cardiff scored the goals, and I think I made a comment yesterday while I was watching the webcast that Cardiff scored goals that I just wish we'd score. We generally have massive difficulties trying to score, well, not trying, but scoring those really scruffy garbage goals, where guys loiter around the net looking for rubbish to feed off. We just don't have those sorts of forwards. And Cardiff seem to have got an abundance of them. And I know that's not the style of hockey we play, and Corey wants a bit more finesse and a bit more creativity from everybody on the roster. But, I think when you go into barns like Cardiff, that you're going to be put under pressure right from the start, and you've got to be better prepared than that. And I thought that we looked shell-shocked, and I was a bit disappointed that we didn't really seem to be doing anything to try and arrest that slide to 4-0.
I mean, Tina, I'll come to you. Like Adam says, you go to Cardiff, you want a good start. They're going to be up and at you. I know there's only 44 seconds gone, but do you feel that we did start? Take the goal out of it, really, if you can. But do you feel that we kind of did start a little bit lacklustre and a little bit sort of not quite there? Because the game that I went to see down in, when we lost 7, whatever it was, I forgot about the result already. We just looked like we just hadn't turned up. But did you feel that, before the goal and then for the minutes after it, that we just wasn't there really?
Just to sort of return to one of your points as you were leading into that, I don't think you can ignore the goal, because I think the goal, that goal at 44 seconds, that was a contributor to the performance. I think the players on the ice were just sort of looking around and going, "What the hell just happened?" Because it was such it just like Adam says, it was a goal that you wish that we would just go and score. I think I hope I've got the right goal when I remember it, but I can just remember thinking that the Devils player got around Brisebois so easily and just got to the front of the net, and I just looked at that and I thought, well, why didn't he get his body in the way? Why didn't he stop him getting to the front of the net? He couldn't. It was just, the Devils player had the position on him, and that was that, and that was, that was it done. It was, bang, goals in the back of the net, and there was an awful lot of crowding around the crease, and our netminders didn't have much of a chance. I mean, Cardiff's fourth goal, I sort of take that one out if I can, because that was Garnett conceding as a cold goalie. He sort of came on and conceded very, very quickly, and you kind of expect that. Cardiff were riding a high, they're 3 goals up, and there's been a goalie change. They're going to capitalise on that, and I think Garnett would have had to have done very, very well to stop that from going in. So that one, it's not forgivable, but you know what I mean. It's not it's not the worst goal that we conceded that night, and I don't think Galbraith played particularly badly. I just don't think he had a lot of opportunity to see the puck, and that was credit to Cardiff. They made it very, very difficult for him to actually see the puck, to be able to freeze it, because there was just so much chaos going on around him, and they created that. They wanted that. That didn't happen by accident. So they did really, really well with a very good goalie, and following on from that, Garnett made some fantastic stops throughout the rest of the game. You can't, you cannot say that. And this sort of returns to my point earlier. It was very, very quiet. All the Garnett haters were very, very quiet for that game. So it was. I think that first goal of Cardiff's, I think that set the tone for the game. I think the Panthers were a bit shocked, and I don't think they quite recovered from it. It's South Wales continues to be. Continues to be a nemesis for us.
Sorry, can I just add a little bit to what Tina was saying there?
Of course.
As I said earlier, I don't think we've been playing with much confidence lately. Well, maybe aside from the Milton Keynes Cup game at home, but it's almost like Cardiff realised that if they got after us early and scored a few goals, that's it. That'd break us, and we wouldn't really be much of a force for the remainder of the game. And oddly enough, I actually thought we didn't play too bad for the rest of the game. When we'd sorted ourselves out and everyone had sort of recovered from, the shock of being 4-0 down after 11 minutes, we didn't do too badly, I thought. We had a few decent scoring opportunities, but nothing, of the calibre of Cardiff and what they created. But, fair play to Cardiff, that they recognise that maybe we're not a team, flowing with confidence at the moment, and their game plan was to get after us early and then, if they did score, which, obviously there's a very good chance of that happening if you get so much traffic around our net, then the rest would sort of see to itself. And that's exactly what happened. So, it's a missed opportunity as far as I'm concerned, because I think if we were a bit tighter in there for that first 11-minute spell, then we could genuinely have got something out of that game, as stupid as it sounds, having lost it 5-2.
Okay, so we'll come to a few of the tweets that we've had in whilst we've been on there, and a few of the people obviously feeling a little bit down about kind of Panthers at the moment, and obviously our league title challenge at the moment. Rob Scott says that we're out of title contention early yet again, so really not much to be happy about at the moment. David Viles says league is virtually over with 11 weeks still to go, so hardly party time. And then Steve Hallum's got in touch saying that he has to agree with Rob. Yet again, we have failed to mount a sustained title challenge. It's not good enough. In the NIC era, we have won the title once. Compare that to Sheffield, Belfast, Blaze and even Cardiff. We've finished a distant second once. Apart from that, nothing. And he says that it's not good enough. So obviously, just in general, folks, it's not really a happy kind of maybe fan base, or there's certain, a lot of people are feeling down about kind of our title challenge at the moment. So, Ant, before we come on to the Player of the Month and Weeks awards, and Tina will read out some more comments that we've had in with that. I know you're feeling a little bit frustrated after watching the highlights on that, and kind of what's your view? I mean, the only thing I would say, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, is we went on an 8-game losing streak. We then ground out, sort of 3 wins in the league. Not playing fantastic hockey, but there were 3 wins. Losing against Cardiff, who, had just won 13 games on the trot. They've now got 29 points out of the last 30. Is that loss in Cardiff massive? Is it a major kind of talking point, or, and this is quite sad to say, is it kind of expected?
It's a horrible place to go. Never mind whether it's the new shiny new arena, which should be bigger, or the horrible Big Blue tent, which wasn't actually that big. We always struggled in Cardiff. Generally, you might get one win in the season, but that'll be it if you're lucky. I think yes, it could be the final now, but I think if we get 2 wins this weekend, that changes everything again. There is nothing to say that we can't go on a run. There's nothing to say that Cardiff can't get hit by a couple of injuries and a couple of suspensions. You don't know. It's far too early to throw in the towel yet, and I'd be hoping, and I'm sure that the Panthers organisation are doing everything they can to bring in a replacement for Schaller, and maybe bring in somebody else as well to kick on for this last 3 and a bit months that we've got left. There's still the Challenge Cup to play for. Momentum plays a lot in these sort of things. So if we can get on a winning run, that'd put us in a better position when it comes to the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup. And obviously we need to start winning games to ensure we qualify for the quarterfinals of the playoffs. We don't want to be one of those 4 teams that miss out on it for the first time in the 12-team season. So it's not over yet. We are clinging on, and I'm trying my hardest to be positive. But I was pretty. I mean, I obviously only watched the highlights a couple of hours before we went live. So I was very, very disappointed by the goals we conceded. There's not a lot you can do about that. Is it the second one that went in off? We cleared it off the line, and then Galbraith kicked it in. I think that was the second one. I mean, it's unlucky that. But
well, it was more that Sauvé tried to clear it out for do like a reverse 5-hole, I think, and it just hit Galbraith's pad and just went back in the goal. Yeah,
I know. It's I mean, those sort of, it'd be, like you guys have said, it'd be nice if we scored some horrible little goals like that, But the one thing I was really disappointed was how easy the Cardiff players got to our netminder, and how easy they were able to hack and slash away at loose pucks in and around the net, and that's where they've scored 3 of their 4 goals from. Where is somebody just coming in and just cleaning somebody out? And I'm not talking Zach Fitzgerald cleaning them out. I'm talking just give him a proper shove. Like, you come anywhere near my netminder again, you're going to get hurt. We haven't got that at the moment. I think other than Tetlow, who I don't know. I mean, Adam Tina, did he get much game time yesterday? I don't know.
He wasn't there. He wasn't on the game sheet.
He was playing
Cardiff.
for Bracknell.
Oh, there we go. So other than him, I've got to say that, you know, where's the strength at the back? We're crying out for a goal scorer, but I think we need to bring somebody in at the back that's going to be no nonsense if this current set of players aren't going to do it. And that hurts me to say that sort of thing, because I know I kind of repeated myself again from the last podcast that we had to record because we were so down on it. We didn't know what was going to come out of our mouths. To be in that position where we were at the beginning of December and to be where we are now, it's heartbreaking, and it's disappointing in the team that we thought so highly of, how much things have changed. So, but again, it's a funny old game, isn't it? To get another of the old quotes out there. 2 wins this weekend, which is not impossible. It's going to be bloody hard. Don't get me wrong. It's not impossible. 2 wins this weekend, and I bet you've got a much smiley faced Panthers Nation come next week's podcast, and I guarantee less comments because people will be happy about things for once.
Well, I'll just jump in there actually, because there is somebody who kind of agrees with you with something you've said there, Ant, with the Player of the Week comments. It said, "Where are these signings? The defence is woeful at times. Gagnon especially is a shadow of his former self."
Well, I mean, that's what I was just going to kind of say when you're mentioning kind of Tetlow, and you know, we had this chat on our WhatsApp group earlier, and you're saying, you know, and you're talking about Tetlow being that person to, you know, that no nonsense defenseman. I mean, you know, Tetlow's a 19-year-old Brit that's spending his first season in the Elite League. You know, a club of our size shouldn't be relying on a 19-year-old Brit to be that kind of tough, no-nonsense defenseman. And I think
Aaron, this is one for you. If they're good enough, they're old enough. Who said that? Who said that?
He doesn't know what you're talking about, Ant.
I do. It's Alan Hansen, isn't it? Anyway,
you'll not win the league with kids. He said that as well, you know.
I know. But I mean, what the point that Tina makes about Gagnon is quite interesting, isn't it? Because he likes to play that kind of physical game, but it does seem that, you know, he's either kind of, you know, had some sort of restraint on him not to kind of go that far, or maybe he's just suffering from a bit of confidence as well. I don't know, but it's a real interesting point. And just finally, before we move on to the player of the month of December and then the player of the weeks while we've been off, one positive at the moment is Jeff Brown's scoring streak. You know, he scored 2 against the Lightning, he scored against the Storm, and he scored a short-handed goal against Cardiff. And
it was a good goal, to be fair to him, that one in Cardiff.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes at a really good time, doesn't it, really? You know, 39-48. I mean, that's... And obviously on the penalty kill, meaning short-handed, it's... You know, it was perfect for us to go into the break and really regroup and go again. But like I say, unfortunately it wasn't. But, you know, Brown continuing his scoring streak obviously means #it's lit. But that's one positive to come from it. But I will now pass over to the delightful Tina Taylor for your player of the month for December and player of the weeks.
Well, delightful, blimey! I'm going to bask in that one because I'm pretty sure you've never called me anything close to that. You've called me a lot of things in the past, Mr. Lord, but I don't believe delightful has made it yet. Anyway, yes,
all positive,
all positive. I think before I do actually reveal players of the week, we've got this week, last week, and player of the month for December. I'll just read out some of the comments that we've had that Paul has kind of provided me with. I mean, just in a sort of similar vein to what we've already been talking about, really, some of them. There are, and I will just apologise to anybody who was hoping to have theirs read out. There's quite a few that's come in that have actually been questions, so I am going to put them forward for Ask TCW later in the week. So if you put yours forward and it was anything like a question, you may very well hear it on Wednesday. But yeah, just a few comments. There is somebody else who is trying to be positive. First comment is: players need to show up for the next 7 games, or the season is finished. This is a tough run of fixtures. I mean, we have got some stiff opposition coming our way in January, so that's we've really got to buck up a little bit here. But yes, that was one of the very few comments with any kind of positive spin. And this is an interesting one. With our league chances long gone, yet again, am I the only one hoping that Fife can do a Leicester? Think it would be great for the league if they won it and show ourselves and a couple of other big teams what we could achieve if we start prioritising the on-ice product over sales and deluded match reports about how unlucky we are. So bit of a. I think somebody is fed up of the match reports. So yeah, that's one for the Panthers media team, I'm afraid. Another one here, I've come to the conclusion that it's all about psychology. The team has the skill, the speed, the strength, the stamina and the support. Where it's going wrong is the belief, the confidence, the attitude and the mental resilience. I think that I would agree with that to a certain extent.
Bring back Gypsy Boswell.
Yeah, God, yeah, we did do that one year, didn't we? I mean, in all seriousness, we've seen it. Some of us went to Zurich and saw it. We saw that skill and the speed and what have you. And to now be talking about the results that we've had, especially December, it is a little bit baffling. So yeah, to a certain degree, I would agree with that. We'll finish off the comments with a couple of positive ones. Our elite forwards didn't turn up for the Cardiff game. The defence was very weak and we lacked the aggression needed to keep the Devils away from our goal. A positive from this week has been Jeff Brown. He's led by example and is flourishing with Mokshantsev. So just, what you were saying earlier there, Jeff Brown has he's started to sort of pick up some points there, which is good, because I think he's been a bit shy of points early in the domestic season. And just finally, Lindhagen and Betteridge work their socks off and hearts out every week and deserve to be credited for it. I did want to read that out because I wholeheartedly agree. Right, we'll crack on through our player of the month for December. First of all, I can't be bothered to use the sound effect. I'm really sorry. We've got a lot to get through here. I don't think we need to hear it. So, player of the month for December. In third place is Zach Phillips. Second place, the aforementioned Ollie Betteridge. And in first place, Patrick Galbraith, which is an interesting one, really, because he had a fair old injury through December, so he still managed to capture the hearts and minds of the Panthers voting on our poll. So well done to Patrick Galbraith. You are the Cats Whiskers Player of the Month for December. Moving on to Player of the Week for week commencing the 1st, so week 1 of 2018. In third place we have Eric Lindhagen. In second place, it's that man, Patrick Galbraith again, but this time he was pipped to the post by the returning Evan Mosey. And I think we were all very much happy to see Evan back on the ice. I think we always miss him when he's not there, and he seemed to provide a bit of an injection for the team and scored a game-winning goal, no less. So well done to you, Evan. That was last week's Player of the Week. And so to Player of the Week for this week, in third place is Jeff Brown. Second place, Ollie Betteridge, and in first place, Eric Lindhagen. So I think we have a fair representation, I would say, of the the players who have been noticed, I would suppose. For me personally, I have definitely noticed that Lindhagen, whilst not doing anything horrendously flashy, not scoring a truckload of goals, the man never stops, and so that always works for me personally. And just a quick note on Player of the Week for this week. Josh Tetlow was very, very close to jumping Jeff Brown into third place. Tetlow was actually in fourth. So, the praise that we have been giving him is it's obviously not just limited to us. He's obviously made an impression on the Panthers fans that have voted in the poll. So, if he carries on, who knows? We could see him making an appearance in our top three over the course of the season. So, well done to Galbraith for Player of the Month of December, Evan Mosey for last week's Player of the Week, and Eric Lindhagen for Player of the Week for this week. And thank you very much to everybody who voted and put your comments in. Aaron, back to you.
Thank you very much. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, the delightful Tina Taylor.
Twice in one night, get in.
Right, okay, we will start to wrap up a few other things around the Elite League before we come back to the Panthers doubleheader in MK, and then we will end on some very, very positive news. But other things that have pretty much happened in and around the Elite League. Well, there's been some bans from DOPS. Just some results at first. We will start off with... We won't talk about 2017. We'll start off with what's happened in the new year. Steelers have beat the Storm 6-5 in a shootout on January the 1st, and the Devils continued their run of form when they beat the Lightning 5-0. And then a big result for the Guildford Flames happened on the 2nd of January with a 10-1 victory against the Capitals. Dundee Stars beat the Clan 3-2. Before January 3rd, saw the Fife Flyers continuing their great run, beating the Storm 6-2. And that is when Mr. Jay Rosehill, who we've mentioned before, has been suspended for 6 games after he threw a bit of a hissy fit after being kicked out of the game. But we will move on to January the 5th, where obviously the first of the double headers with the Giants and the Steelers. Please tell me you've watched the highlights from these games, folks, because the Sheffield Steelers won that game 3-2, but there was some fun and games, folks, wasn't there, really? We'll stay on this game for a little while as we talk through what happened. Where do you start? Zach Fitzgerald obviously got kicked out of the game for a check to the head on a certain Spyro Galakos. This was obviously after Galakos and Colton Fretter, the great Colton Fretter, apparently, had a fight. Obviously, that's relating to what happened in Sheffield earlier on in the season. But let's start with Fitzgerald, folks. That check to the head, it resulted in Fitzgerald getting a 4-game ban. Not very nice, was it, Adam?
No, it wasn't. It was a horrible elbow to the head. There's been a lot of talk on social media, as you'd expect, about whether there was any intent there or whether I can't remember the other. Was it Scott Arson that was just in front of Fitzgerald, who was sort of acting as a bit of a screen that meant that Fitzgerald didn't really get the right line of sight on the player, on the Belfast player. And, as a result, sort of messed it up and ended up, taking him out with the elbow accidentally. Personally, I thought it looked nasty. And I've got to admit, I thought there was a little bit of intent there. I think that the Belfast player is skating around, is trying to, arc his skate away from Arson. And I think Fitzgerald looked a bit opportunistic, would that be the right word to say? And obviously, saw an opportunity. Now, I don't know whether he was deliberately targeting the head or whether he just wanted to get his elbow up high. But, where he made contact with the head was horrible. And I don't think he can argue with that 4-game ban. I don't think many people could argue with that 4-game ban, because that sort of stuff doesn't really belong on an ice hockey pad. Nobody wants to see players being elbowed, and it's a fast sport. You keep your arms down, especially mid-ice when you've got an unsuspecting player. That could have caused a lot of damage. It could have easily have concussed, and quite badly concussed at that. So I don't think Fitzgerald comes out of that incident with much credit at all, if I'm honest. And I think the 4-game ban was about right, and hopefully it will act as a bit of a deterrent. And I think I don't know whether things are going to calm down between Belfast and Sheffield for the remainder of the season. I don't know how many more games they've got between them to play, and how many remaining fixtures they've got. I suspect it's probably a fair few. But, it seems like more and more petrol's being poured on this rivalry that they've got this season. And it does make you wonder whether this ban might, just take the sort of edge off it, or whether it could go the other way. And, people feel aggrieved about the punishments and the penalties that DOPS have handed out, and, go looking for their own sort of justice. In which case, heaven knows what might happen in one of the remaining games. But I think that Fitzgerald's 4-game ban was right, and we'll see what happens the next time Belfast and Sheffield spar against each other.
Well, I mean, Fitzgerald. First game back is against the Giants on the 28th of January, so you never know.
Oh, that's delightful. You'd almost think that was deliberate, wouldn't you?
I know, hey? Maybe Dops did look at the fixture list, who knows? But there were a couple of
webcasts.
You never know. But Silvestre for the Belfast Giants got a 2-game ban. I think that was mainly for his misconduct against referee Tom Darnell. And then 20 seconds to go, that Spyro Galakos does a check to the head, which meant that he got kicked out of the game and also got a 1-game ban via DOPS. I would just say on that game, very, very feisty, very niggly, very physical. Apart from the checks to the head, I thought that was a great game via the highlights, and I actually wished some of our games were that kind of physical and niggly, because it was good to watch. So the results from the weekend just gone. Obviously, the Giants beat the Steelers 5-1, which meant that weekend was split between the Giants and the Steelers. The Flames managed to beat the Devils in overtime with a 3-2 victory. The Dundee Stars beat the Capitals 7-4, and the MK Lightning beat the Blaze 3-1, with Klotz from the Blaze suspended for 3 games for kneeing, which was a requested review. On to January the 7th, and the Blaze got back to winning ways against the Lightning with a 6-4 victory. The Storm beat the Guildford Flames 4-3, and just 1 point from there was a little bit of mistake from the Guildford Flames, as they gave Devils player Tom's Rutkiss man of the match, and he actually didn't ice a shift. But they quickly put a note out on Twitter saying that somebody had scribbled the note with a 27 and it was read out as 37. So they meant no harm by it, and it was just a pure mistake. But to finish the results from the weekend, the Dundee Stars carried on their victories with a 2-1 win against the Capitals, meaning they had a 4-point weekend against the Capitals. And the Fireflies, we've mentioned them before, haven't we? They beat the Clan 4-1, which results in why we've spoken about the Fireflies so highly at the moment. But let's get back to the Panthers, shall we? As been mentioned before, the Panthers this coming weekend head over the sea to the Belfast Giants for a double header, Friday the 12th of January, Saturday the 13th. Well, last 20 games against the Belfast Giants, won 9, 11 losses, 10 of those in regulation, 1 overtime loss. Tina.
Yes.
Rockies,
or
the arena?
Well, yeah. I can't say in the form that we're in at the minute. I'm looking forward to this. I mean, we booked the flights when we were still doing well. And I mean, I won't feel too hard done by it if I do just spend the entire weekend in Rockets, because I got the game tickets while the arena were doing their buy one get one free. So,
there you go.
So everyone's a winner. No, I'm serious. I will go to the games. I will probably put myself through it, and just, fingers crossed, take the lucky horseshoe, get the lucky rabbit's foot, and just go, come on, let's have a Panthers win, please. I mean, I'd take a split weekend at this point, But I mean, if we came out of there with a 4-point weekend, I will be absolutely delirious. There will be, I will be. There will be utter disbelief. I would love to see it, and I would love the Panthers to have the confidence and the belief to be able to do that. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe Belfast will have a little bit of a bit of a wobble. I don't know. Maybe they'll feel sorry for us. Who knows? But I mean, on past form, the wins and the losses that you've just talked about, our record at the SSE Arena it's not great, and I think was it Ant earlier who said you'd have to struggle to remember a time where we did go to Belfast for a double header and came away with 4 points. I mean, we didn't even do that when we won the league because everybody got drunk.
Second game doesn't count.
The second game definitely doesn't count for Craig Kowalski, because he just what was his how did he put it? I think everybody knows what went off in Rockies last night.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a tough ask. It is a tough ask, and I would dearly love to see us come out of it with something. I really want us to come out of it with points. 4 points, as I say, I would be delirious. I think it's unlikely given present form, and as I mentioned earlier, Belfast are in quite a rich vein of form themselves at the moment, and also they're now entering their extensive home stretch. So they're probably getting quite comfortable. I think they've got something like 5 or 6 home games between now and the end of the season. So they've had an extensive road schedule, and they're second in the league. So that's they've done really well out of that. And they can settle in a little bit and enjoy the comforts of home a little bit more regularly, as it were. Big ask, very big ask, I think.
I mean, you mentioned earlier about maybe Belfast will go easy on us. I think the official podcast from the Belfast Giants, if you listen to their show later on in the week, I believe that's exactly what they'll be saying, that they will go easy on us. Yeah, right. Anyway. Adam, I'll come to you next. So far this season, we've had 2 regulation wins against them at home. We then visited them away on the 15th of November, where we got an overtime winner, 5-4. And then, obviously, part of December, that dreaded month, which we will ban the word December from future podcasts. Not a great performance, and obviously Belfast fully deserved the victory, a 6-2 victory in the end. So currently it's 3-1. In the series, going over there, we've got to perform better than what we have been doing recently, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, and I'm sure there's quite a few Panthers fans going over for the double header. So whether that might act as a bit of a lift and a spur for the side, seeing quite a lot of their own supporters in the stands over there in Belfast, who knows? Again, do I think we're going to skate away and come back with 4 points and play lovely, sexy Nielsen hockey? No, because I don't think this team at the moment have got that sort of within their gift to. So if we are going to win, it'll be gritty, it'll be backs to the wall sorts of performance. But what worries me is seeing what I saw against Cardiff yesterday. That sort of defensive fragility. If we show that again, in either of the 2 games, then Belfast, we know, have got some gifted forwards. They've got some high point scorers, and I think that they could do something similar to what Cardiff did to us. So I think that first game is critical, because the longer we're in that first game, then the more I will fancy our chances of getting something from that match. And then the second one, we'll see what happens. I mean, at the moment, I think the statistics and the past record shows that we're about 50-50, and I probably expect. I know we're not in great form at the moment, but I expect us to probably split the games. We'll win one, they'll win one. If we could win one in regulation, and then maybe pick up a point for an overtime defeat, 3 points coming back, that'd be great in my opinion from where we've been in December. And I don't know where we are in terms of player recruitment, or whether it's realistic or feasible to have a new player signed and in place before we take to the ice for the first game in Belfast. Probably not, but I think that we've just got to go over there. We've got to compete, because if we don't compete in either game, on the back of what happened yesterday, I think that there'll be even more doom and gloom and negativity around the side, and then where will the future of the rest of this season go? Certainly in the league, it's not looking too promising, is it? So we've got to go over there and compete, and bring something back, and just put some smiles on the fans' faces, because we know that the players are skilled. We know that between their ears they can do it. They've just got to show that sort of skill and application that they did earlier in the season, and then there is a small possibility that we could come back with 2 wins from the trip to Belfast. Like Ant said earlier, anything's possible. Could be 2 lucky wins, and that might reignite a league campaign. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I suppose if you want a prediction from me, I think we'll win 1 and lose 1.
Okie dokie. Tina, do not worry, because Chris Lovell, friend of the show and obviously Belfast Giants fan, says that if you're upset, he'll buy you a commiserations pint in Rockies, and maybe his partner Stephen will buy you one too. So that's 2 pints already, and you haven't even got over there.
Fabulous. So I haven't even arrived, and I'm getting drinks bought for me. This man is speaking my language. Thank you, Chris. I will very much like to take you up on that.
That's a trip to Belfast, I tell you. And just a very quick prediction from you for the weekend.
I think we'll lose both.
Oh, Mr. Doom and Gloom.
And I say this. This all could change tomorrow, Wednesday, if we announce a new signing or a new signing or 2. You just have to look at the effect that Rutherford has had since he's returned.
Yeah.
He's scoring goals. He's performing well. He's agitating, so he's getting power plays for Belfast. And on top of that, unfortunately, Silvestre only misses, tomorrow's game, and then he's back. And I thought he was excellent last time we played him. So, you got to basically we've got to do everything that we didn't do against Cardiff. So we have to. we have to clear we have to defend well. We have to clear the net. And then you've got to rely on your goal scorers to pop in a couple. I think if we come away I'd be ecstatic if we came away with 3 points. 2 points isn't terrible, as long as it's 2 points each, because then at least we've not lost any ground for second place. But realistically, and I'm really sorry, but I can't see us taking anything. And I'm disappointed to have missed out. But I was saying over the weekend, I think I would have actually preferred to have been there last weekend, so I could have got the party thing going on with my mates from Orange County and across the sea, and not had to worry about the hockey.
Well, I think we will obviously wait and see. Belfast Giants obviously do a webcast for anybody that's not heading over to support the boys. So
the camera work for the webcast is fantastic.
Yeah, the boys, David and Neil, they do a cracking job over there, and obviously Simon Kitchen will be commentating for you all. So check out the Belfast Giants TV Twitter account if you're wishing to buy the webcast. But to everybody that's heading over, I wish you a safe trip. Say hello to the bars for me and the pints of Guinness as well. But have a safe trip and do cheer the boys on. They will need your support. But finally, before we bid you farewell, what do they say? What can you say about this man? David Clarke, 14th season with the Panthers, and on Sunday the 7th of January against the Cardiff Devils, David Clarke became the all-time leading EIHL point scorer with 712 points in 737 games. 362 goals, 350 assists, and he obviously passed Ashley Tate's record of 711. Well, folks, what can I say? 36 years old now, David Clarke. The word legend gets bandied around in all sports, and ice hockey is no different, and in the Elite League it is no different. But we are looking at a legend, aren't we, Tina?
Absolutely. David Clarke, he's been there, done that, got the jersey, as it were. What an absolutely fabulous career. And we've been privileged to have him in a Panthers jersey, quite frankly. We've certainly been privileged to have him in a Panthers jersey for as long as we have. We've done really, really well to keep hold of him, and we've been the beneficiary of a great career.
I mean, Adam, just very quickly, I'll go from 2009-2010 season, 62 points, following season 72 points, following season 58 points, following season 53 points, following season 53 points. I mean, what can you say about the man? He's just delivered season in, season out while he's been wearing that Panthers jersey, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been brilliant for the Panthers organisation. A real loyal servant to the club, and he's always given his all. He's come good with the points, over a very long period of time, and that's all you can ask for. I know, in recent seasons his role's changed a little bit, and his points output's dropped a little, but it would have been unrealistic to expect that he'd still be putting 15, 16, 70 points on the board, well into his 30s. So, but regardless of that, he's been a great servant for the Nottingham Panthers. He's won all sorts of silverware for us, and been through the highs and also quite a few lows. But he's always a player that you enjoy seeing because you can tell that his heart's in it. You don't play for an organisation for that length of time without loving the club. And, it will be a very, very sad day, the day that David Clarke decides that he wants to hang his skates up or move away from Nottingham. So, well done, David. Brilliant. And, keep up the good work.
I mean, and just finally for you, I mean, he had that season, obviously, in Italy, but in every season that he's been with the Panthers, he's either had an A or a C on his shirt, apart from obviously this season and last when he moved into his assistant, sort of coaching role where you can't be an alternate captain or the captain. I mean, surely we're looking at the next Nottingham Panthers retirement jersey, aren't we? I
think it's spot on. I think we're glad all over that David Clarke has been part of the Panthers.
Antoine.
Come on, somebody had to. I think I've just ruined Aaron's closing of the show, but but we are but seriously, we have been very lucky that we've had a player of his calibre that has been with us as long as he had and has contributed as much as he had. And I know we used it sort of tongue in cheek about say last season's team, but he's a top bloke as well. Really, really nice bloke. He'll take time to speak to anybody. So he's David Clarke is number one. He's no longer number 5. He's been promoted. Fantastic. What a player! What a legend. and number 5 will be hanging in the rafters when he calls his career. Be a sad day.
Very, very true. And really, I can only echo what the folks have said. And you kind of stole my line where I was just going to say he's an absolute legend of, the game, but he is also a top fella, and was always, given time out to speak to people, whether it's, a mere podcast or whether you bump into him in other areas, off ice, etc. He is a top guy. So David Clarke from everybody at the Cats Whiskers, and I'm pretty certain everybody in the Panthers Nation, we would all just say congratulations, and don't stop at 712. Make sure you put a few more on there in the remainder of this season, starting this weekend.
10 goals this weekend.
If you can add a few this weekend, Dave, it'll be much appreciated. But no, in all seriousness, it's a great achievement. So yeah, well done.
Can I play me a little applause track yet?
Okay, just hang on. I'll set it up, Tina. All right?
Set it up, man. Let's do it.
Okay, we'll edit that bit out. Okay, so really, what we'd like to end this week's podcast is basically from everybody connected with the Nottingham Panthers. We would like to say congratulations to David Clarke on becoming the all-time leading Elite League point scorer with 712 points.
I know you guys can't hear it, but it's going to sound brilliant, I promise.
Awesome. Tina, shall I get on with the rest and kind of just close the show up now, yeah?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, okay. Well, don't worry, we'll edit that bit out as well. Okay, so basically that rounds off this week's, I was going to say Ask TCW podcast then.
You've got it to autopilot there, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Don't worry, folks, that's still to come, eh? This is just the starter. But no, thank you very much for joining us this week. Obviously, we have spoken in great depth about the Nottingham Panthers and what has happened over the festive and New Year period. Some good points, but also some low points as well. Thank you very much for getting in touch if you have done whilst we've been on air. If you're listening to this as a podcast, then do still get in touch. You can speak to us anytime. It's at Cats Whiskers TV on Twitter. But I would just like to say thank you very much to Antoine Marie-Jeanne.
Not a problem. Take care, everybody. I'm off to the darts on Thursday, so get a bit of bully.
Thanks for telling us, because somebody tweeted in asking what Ant was doing on Thursday. So there you go. You've just told them. Adam, thank you very much for joining us. And would you like to tell everybody your plans for the remainder of the week?
Tomorrow morning, I'm going on a speed awareness course because I got caught speeding a few weeks ago. After that,
okay, that's enough of that.
It's pretty boring, so.
And finally, it's the delightful Tina Taylor.
Wow, the hat trick. Thank you very much, TTFN.
Me.
And if it is to anybody going to Belfast this weekend, myself and Adam will see you there, probably in Rocky's crying into a pint.
Yes, so if you're heading over
a pint.
Well, one at a time. One at a time.
Just remember, kids, drink responsibly. Okay, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. We will be back next week. But in the meantime, take care, and we'll see you then.
This edition of the Cats Whiskers podcast was brought to you by the Bunkers Hill Hockley.